Welcome to Raised Woman, the podcast. I'm your host, Tash, and I'm so glad you're here. This is the space where we raise women up in faith, life, and the marketplace. So whether you're walking, working, multitasking, or just needing something real to connect with, you've come to the right place. We're your dose of connection simply by pressing play. We just wrapped up our Well Women series where we explored physical and spiritual health and the power of self-care. If you missed it, go back and have a listen. It was full of wisdom and reminders that we can't pour from an empty vessel. But today, we're stepping into something real. A series I've been so excited to launch. She is Wisdom. This is for women who are in business, dreaming of starting something, or simply navigating her next move. We're going to unpack what wisdom looks like, how we walk in it, lead with it, and more importantly, build with it. So if that sounds like you or someone you know, stick around. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Tap that follow button, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you tune in. It helps more women find this community and be part of the conversation. Now let's talk about wisdom. If you Google it, it'll tell you wisdom is the quality of having good judgment. Pretty straightforward, right? But the Bible puts it this way. Wisdom is the ability to discern between right and wrong. But my favorite definition, it actually comes from a video I watched of Joyce Meyer. She describes wisdom as depth of insight beyond how things look to how they really are. She says wisdom looks past how we feel in the moment and helps us to do what is right, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs us something. And my favorite part of what she says is that wisdom does now what will be good in future. That line shifted me because a lot of times we're caught in what feels right for us in the moment. But wisdom is about the long game, the future fruit of a faithful decision. If you haven't listened to Joyce Meyer before, please do so. Her journey is so encouraging, especially for those of us stepping out later in life. She's proof that there's no perfect time to begin. Now in the Bible, if we're talking about wisdom, we have to speak about Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David and his successor. He became a king at a very young age. 1 King 3 talks about God appearing to Solomon, pleased with him, and God says to him, "Ask of me anything you want, and it will be given." Solomon's response comes from his understanding of the legacy he lives, the power within his bloodline, a deep understanding of what he carries, and an even deeper desire to be faithful first and foremost as a king to God. His request comes from a lens that knows he lives for a mighty God who is greater and a view that looks upon others instead of himself. Solomon states, "I'm your servant. Give me a discerning heart to govern your people, to distinguish right from wrong." And that's exactly what God gives him. He was the wisest man to ever rule and live. I always knew Solomon was wise. But it wasn't until I looked carefully at his request and the wording that I truly understood why. Solomon could have asked for anything. He was a person who already had everything, but the significance of what he was really asking for here was the guidance to steward what God had given him. That's leadership. That's stewardship. That's the heart posture we're talking about. The application of this in the marketplace teaches us as women about the posture of being leaders in spaces we steward, our responsibility in building, awareness of being outward looking, having a heart of servitude and humility, being faithful in thinking and concerned in doing what is right with the ability to distinguish from wrong. But I think more importantly, It gives us an awareness that no matter the season we step into or are blessed with, to continue seeking God in all aspects of it and remaining faithful with the small things as much as the big things. Wisdom is central to many applications when it comes to business and daily practice. Simply put, it exists within decisions we make that either lead us closer to the heart of God or further away. Is what we are doing pleasing or not? You see, wisdom isn't just spiritual, it's practical, and it is tied to every decision we make. So now that we've got this foundation laid, let me bring it home a bit and share my journey in stepping out and starting. If you know me and have seen some of the projects I have started, there have been a few, multiple in fact, and some of them I speak about on the very first episode of this podcast when I introduce myself, so go back and have a listen. My cousin, if she is listening, would be nodding when I say that she has said to me, "Cousin, you have had some great ideas. Sometimes you just need to stick with them." My journey has not been perfect, and I have not become a millionaire overnight. I have not perfectly executed businesses. I have not worked full-time for myself or employed a large network of staff. But in all attempts, I'll tell you what I'm most proud of myself for. I am a master at taking an idea, stepping out, being bold, being courageous, and just starting it. Even if that meant failing, even if that meant it's been my third, fourth, or fifth attempt. You just think on that. We live in a world of visionaries, masterminds, people with grand ideas, women skilled to build structures, and muses of inspiration. If you're in a public space, take a look around. You're surrounded by them. We live in a world full of dreamers, women with big, bold, God-breathed visions, but not all of us step into what we were designed for. I say that with love because I was her. Sometimes I still am her. T.D. Jakes has a book that has been instrumental in my journey to date called Soar, and he speaks about how to build your vision from the ground up. He speaks about what is needed to take off in flight from the runway when you have vision, and how we can have failed attempts and fail at what we think we thought we were supposed to do, only to lead into what we were meant to. His talk with Stephen Furtick on the topic speaks about how he stumbled into areas he has become successful in. I couldn't help but find his words encouraging as they fell on the hands that have picked up and started a juicing cleanse business, food boxes, gourmet chocolates, a consultation side hustle, writing books, to now a podcast and vision for what will be Raised Women. My favorite quote when starting these things was, "Ideas are poo, execution's everything." And it goes back to my point of women destined to do great things, but not stepping out into them. We can have the most amazing, inspired ideas, but if we don't act on them, they stay locked inside our heads, and that becomes a prison, one that weighs us down instead of setting us free. So if you're someone who's sitting on a big dream, stuck in fear, I see you because I am you. But I also want to remind you that you don't need perfection to begin. Nike, just do it. And whatever you have in your hands, trust me, that's all you need to start. In doing multiple things in so many ways, it could be seen as a journey of almost attempts and multiple runway failures. In fact, it has been. I was actually speaking with someone not long ago, telling them things I had started before, and the first thing she said to me was, "Do I regret failing?" I paused and said to her, "The old me may have seen it like that, but the version of me now through maturity can pinpoint where I wasn't prepared, where I never had the capacity, and where I was never ready." Which brings me to what I have learned from stepping out and starting. Things I wish I had known sooner. 1, trying to run before I could walk. Timing is everything. Just because the vision is right doesn't mean the season is. There's a time to move and a time to prepare. 2, doing too much and burning out. I was busy, but not always productive. Focus is everything. You can do 50 things and still not move forward. Don't be busy, be purposeful and productive, and prayerful in all things. 3, no clear plan. I didn't have systems in place. When orders came in or opportunities opened up, I wasn't ready. I hadn't considered the market, the finances, the scale, growth, or risks. 4, trying to do it all alone. I didn't think I needed help. I had support, but not always mentorship, advisors, or counsel. Growth doesn't happen solo, and you can't build grand designs and structures as one person on your own. 5, not preparing myself. I used to chase applause, likes, follows, the next big thing, and sometimes I can find myself stuck and still without even knowing it, trying to do that. But now I'm more mindful about caring more about how I'm positioned. Not just the business prep, but the future prep, the heart prep, the God prep. Because if I'm not filled, I can't carry what I'm called to. So what does walking in wisdom look like practically when stepping out and starting? Here's some things. Being protective of my vision. Not everyone needs access to it, and learning to discern that not all counsel and input is wise counsel. To be very careful in who I allow to speak into my vision and into me. I have identified my supporters, advisors, and mentors. Take a look at Soar, the book by T.D. Jakes, because he has a particular segment in his book that specifies what those 3 people are, who those 3 people are. I've learned to get the small things right, to build steady and future-proof, to become concerned with what will grow my vision and grow my business. A practical step, inviting others in. More heads, more wisdom. No one will ever see what you're holding in your hands if you don't let go and open it up to others. Being open to real feedback. It sharpens us. It's not always easy, but trust me, it does. Critical thinking that challenges you will grow you, especially if it is coming from the heart of a person who wants to see you thrive, and not seeing that as a bad thing, but rather another pair of eyes, allowing you to see things from a different angle. Guarding my capacity. I can't pour from an empty vessel. Saying no is okay, but also balancing that with overflow and being flexible to recognize the difference. Understanding that timing and strategy matter. A business plan is going to matter, my target market is going to matter, and that this is a restaurant I need to get used to because I'm going to have to work my way through the menu instead of trying to devour everything in one sitting. Now, this point in itself is frustrating, especially for my personality, but it's true. Above all else, remembering and reminding myself that God is always in control, that He has the bigger picture sorted. He won't ask me to carry what I am not meant to, His will, His bill, and to stay in my lane. There is no competition if He has already portioned a section for me to maintain. I just need to do my bit and trust Him with the rest. One thing I have always found encouraging in my walk is knowing that God will never bring us to one place and not consider the whole picture. He has my point A, B, C through to Z, and each point, although new to me, is not to Him. And I trust that when carrying whatever it is He has given me, He's with me the whole way. I hope my small insights have been helpful if you are looking to step out and start or in the grips of it. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 questions. 1. What is it that you know you need to step out and start that you're not? 2. How do you practice wisdom in making decisions? 3. Are you walking in what you were intentionally created for? If God placed something in your heart, you don't need to wait until it's perfect. Wisdom grows in the walk, not the waiting. And that wraps up this episode of Stepping Out and Starting. Next week, we're diving into the juggling act. If you're a mum, a business owner, or a woman balancing a lot, you don't want to miss it. I'll be joined by Sarah from Moonshot Creative as we talk about juggling, and she shares her experience as a mum in the marketplace. If today's episode blessed you, hit that follow button, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's stepping out or feeling stuck. You never know, this could be the push that she needs. Thanks for being here. I'm cheering for you. Stay encouraged, stay grounded, and as always, stay blessed. I'm your host, Tash, and this is Raise Women, the podcast.